Mika, there's no question the violence between Israel and Gaza has escalated since yesterday. Any idea what may have sparked this new wave of violence?
Oh, yes, there's no question. And it's interesting to sort of lay it out.
Yeah.
So I could have anticipated this, how we had the conversation a week and a half ago. I would have predicted this was happening. Why? Because this week actually is 1 year to the day of the march of removing Israel from the map. And so that march took place last year, and in the course of the year, they have gotten nothing as a result of it. Every Friday they come to march, and the same thing happens, and as a result, the Palestinian leadership, the Hamas leadership, needs to take a stand. They need to say, hey, what's happening here? And so they're pushing the buttons. The problem is they roll the dice. They're expecting that Israel's going to hit back harder than they're actually hitting. And that was a mistake.
Well, we know Israel is building up its resources and military, power at the Gaza border. Is this coming from Netanyahu and his meetings with security officials just today as he gets back from Washington? I mean, the Prime Minister promised that Israel would defend itself.
Well, it is defending itself, but it is not going to embark on a land war in Gaza 2 weeks before an election, because that would increase the possibility and probability of Israeli losses. That's not going to happen. However, the bluster is important. That is, Israel has to make the attempt to make it look like they're actually bringing forces to there. They will hit from the sky, because from the air they could do it without any chance and risk of Israeli losses.
But isn't this a risk for Netanyahu, going into the election so close? I mean, how he handles this could make or break his re-election.
Well, it's a balancing act, so he has to look strong, but he can't jeopardize the lives of Israelis in terms of even ground forces. So there's not going to be a war. So people who are talking about the war are talking about the thinking that it's an escalation, but it's an escalation just shy of the war. Hamas is looking at that. They're playing it on the brink. They said, how far can we push Israel over the brink? And Israel's not taking the bait, which is very, very important here. So they're going to hit from above. Will it be effective on Israel's part? I'm not so certain, because what they need to do is they need to ultimately wipe out the leadership of Hamas, and they have to find them and assassinate them. So in order to do that, they have to either hit and wipe out, let's say, their offices, but they're not in their offices. They're in bunkers way down below. Or they have to have targeted strikes of people on the ground, which might be strike forces, and that might be happening.
But what about a ceasefire? I mean, there was talk of one last night, but as we say, these attacks and strikes have continued throughout the day. I mean,
we have to look at the sources. The sources that there's no mention of the source of who said that ceasefire actually happened. In addition, Israel, whenever they go into these ceasefires with Hamas, there's always a caveat. The caveat is they can defend themselves. So let's say, for instance, they hear or see or understand that there is a potential strike happening, they will intervene first. Israel must always have the ability to defend itself.
Well, we'll see what happens. Hopefully there's no more bloodshed. Hopefully this calms down in some fashion.
Well, it's going to take a little while.
Right. All right. Mika Halpern, Middle East analyst, thanks.